Hi, it's Romy Pisces. Welcome to the channel. This is your August 2021 soul story. Hope this finds you well. If you're new, then these are general intuitive readings for the month ahead. And if you're returning, then thanks so much for taking the time to tune back in. So we're into Leo season and we're opening up with the energy of the King of Wands. And I think Pisces this month really doesn't want to be attached to anything. You want to feel that sense of being able to, excuse me, liberate and free yourself. There's quite a courageous, free-spirited, even wild kind of energy that's rising up within you. And it is fully supported by the fact that this month Uranus, the planet of rebelliousness, of revolution, it's kind of moving through a series of really sweet aspects astrologically, a series of trines. The first one with Venus on the 2nd and 3rd of the month, and then Mercury on the 19th and 20th, and then right over that second full blue moon in Mars on the 21st and 22nd. What that means is there's opportunity for kind of really surprising information and news to make its way towards you. That can really herald the advance of some permanent and quite positive change. And I think with this energy of the King of Wands coming in, there's a very visionary quality to it. And you're making a firm choice and decision within yourself that says, okay, in order to kind of say yes to this, to sort of move forward in this direction and kind of seize the day a little bit, I'm going to have to release myself from this burden or this responsibility or even this limiting belief. And the dissolving of that, I think, is so important because it's really about you discovering a new sense of bravery within yourself and kind of really putting your needs and priorities first, and not expressing your needs actually is not going to make them go away. And so there's something as well with that energy of the King of Wands that I think is going to be an important energy guide for you all the way through this month, so that in certain circumstances you are going to be required and have that push and that nudge to actually speak out and tell people how you feel, how things are affecting you, what you want or what you expect in certain situations. And that might be a little bit uncomfortable, but at the same time, remember, you are going to have this quite courageous, sort of spirited energy that's going to be driving that behind you. Now, I feel as we make our way towards that new moon in Leo on the 8th of the month, we're also going to be welcoming Lionsgate, of course, when the sun and Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, come into alignment, and that portal opens and there's a beautiful opportunity to really harness the energy and work with whatever manifestations, hopes, dreams and desires you have right now, and kind of really take stock of what has occurred for you and what has started to come to fruition through the course of this year. The world is showing me that there's a sense of completion, something coming to fruition. There's a square with Uranus around that new moon, so there could be some very sudden, unexpected change. Part of that might feel a little bit uncomfortable, so there might be somewhat of a pressure that comes from it. But that discomfort really, I think, is helping you to kind of almost redirect your attention and your energy, perhaps towards places within the self, even potential that you haven't considered or really given yourself the opportunity to explore prior to this point. The world as well, again, this sort of invitation for letting something come to a natural point of completion. I think that's really important, because one of the things you're going to be focused on this month is kind of really understanding where your gold is, you know, where are the riches and the treasure that you hold sacred, the things in your life that keep sustaining you. Because for many of those passions, those things that you're really drawn to or inspired by, for many this is going to turn into an opportunity for paid work or to open up new income streams, or even to become a more permanent part of your life just by way of getting a better sense of balance. Because when we're in this Leo energy, it's 6th house, so it's all about the way that you need to almost revitalize your routines. And I think part of that is going to make sure that you take control of your surroundings. And you know, there's a release aspect to that. You know, there's huge emotional shifts that I think are taking place, because almost like diagnostically you're coming to terms with why you felt a certain way or how somebody has made you feel. And so that sensitivity is kind of coming up into the forefront. Now, you have the energy of the Two of Cups here, so there's an important union or alignment. And actually what I want to say, especially as we move into Virgo season with that 7th house, you're going to find some really interesting, rare almost connections showing up for you. Now, yes, this could be romantic, but for others it might be business partnerships, it might be new friendships, people of influence, just people who inspire you generally. But there's something kind of really expansive about those connections. And they almost activate something within you, Pisces, this month that helps you to see more for yourself, to want more for yourself. And I think that's going to be a wholly positive experience that I want you to take from what's going to unfold in that way. Now we have Mercury moving into the sign of Virgo on the 11th of the month, and of course Mercury is the natural ruler to this sign, so it helps us from a communication perspective to start to be a little bit more discerning and careful and considerate. And with the strength energy coming through here, I think there's something about recognizing that as you're changing and evolving, you know, there's a part of us that's constantly almost dying, just like in the cycles of nature. And sometimes there's a grieving process that kind of has to be acknowledged during that process. And so your strength here is almost giving you the fortitude and the resiliency and the capacity to be able to allow that part of yourself to kind of evolve and to let go. And at the same time sort of make space and feel optimistic and positive about some of the changes that are taking place and happening. Now Venus moves into the sign of Libra on the 16th. Again, Venus is the natural ruler to Libra, so these planets are really comfortable through the course of August, which does mean that there's like a softening. There's not any of those hard outer planetary clashes happening in August, so we have much more of this conducive supportive energy that's saying, okay, this is a time to kind of make progress, to feel a little bit more centered within your thinking. And there's something about you being able, I think, this month to make the difficult decisions, knowing what the impact might be. What do I mean by that? I think that there are going to be times when you decide, I'm not going to show up. I'm not able to attend this. I'm not able to participate in this. I don't wish to be a part of this. And that's coming from a place of understanding that from an energetic hygiene perspective, like just taking care of your own energy, it's not going to be good or healthy for you to be around certain people or certain energies at this moment in time. Now, your absence is really going to be noted, and perhaps that's an important thing, because I think people maybe need to start to appreciate or to see actually what you bring by way of energy to situations. But at the same time, when you do decide to show up, it also puts you in a place where you feel better about yourself, because it feels much more like an empowered choice and not one that has been forced or kind of guilted upon you. And in that sense, your presence is much more dutifully noted as well, because you're just radiating on a different energy. So we have the Lovers coming in here, and choices I think that will be presented to you through the course of this month. And when we're starting to think about where our passion lies, and also how we feel about courage and where courage comes from for us, you know, like how do we define it and where that gold is in our life, you know, it's really going to start to clarify for you, I think, where you have been perhaps like spinning wheels or wasting precious time or energy on people or things that, you know, they might be okay, but they're not like really lighting you up. And especially as you kind of move into Virgo season, there's this aspect of needing to prepare and needing to be far more honest with yourself, you know. So there's a critical eye that I think you're kind of placing over everyone and everything. Now you yourself may even feel that people are being overly critical of you, and if you do have that sense of judgment being put upon you, I suppose the kind of ruffling of the feathers is almost to be expected as you start to step more clearly into your greatness. So take it as a really powerful sign that you're doing something right by way of your own growth, if you're having that kind of a response coming back from you personally or professionally. Now, from a relationship perspective here, we do see a level of kind of having to, I want to say, like, remind yourself of what you've already been through. So there may be those moments where you think like, oh my goodness, I just felt blindsided, or, you know, that's really surprised me, or someone's behavior or how that's unfolded. And what Spirit is saying is actually, if you track back, you'll have been through things that are, you know, that have tested you in so many more challenging ways than this. And so you can almost like reframe it and come back to a place that says, actually, it's really not that big a deal. And apart from anything else, I realize how much I've changed and evolved as a result. And so your empathy towards yourself, your compassion towards who you now are, means that you're going to be far less triggered by anything that seems to be unfolding potentially for you. And that strength is really bringing in what it is that you need. But there also feels to me to be a positive conclusion to something. Now, when we talk about this second full blue moon happening in the sign of Aquarius, coming in on the 21st, 22nd of the month. Now, what happened for you on the first one, 23rd of July? Because if something was stirred up, if it felt a little bit fractious or difficult, we have opportunities for resolution, for a meaningful way forward, for a more positive outcome than perhaps you had anticipated, and just a general feeling of expansiveness coming in because it's conjunct with Jupiter. Now, it is in your 12th house, which is interesting because there is a release aspect that's being even further highlighted by the full moon energy, which of course invites that surrendering quality as well. And so part of the choice that you need to make might mean I need to let this go, I need to walk away, I need to kind of acknowledge defeat. But the defeat doesn't have to be negative. For me, it kind of is almost like a, well, it wasn't really what I wanted anyway. It's that sort of an energy. So if you find yourself in competition, especially with someone, or, you know, in that kind of environment, maybe you're trying to go after a job, maybe it's to do with a person, or even if you're having that battle within the self, I have this sense of like in and around that full moon, the kind of revelationary quality for you is going to actually say, do you know what, Pisces? Like, this is your true path, it's over here, and everything that you wanted and more can actually come to you, but you kind of have to let that go. You have to allow yourself to sort of create space for something that's even better. And sometimes when we've held on to something or we've invested a lot into it, a person, a relationship, a job, a project, whatever that is, and the sort of the moment of recognition that actually it's not delivered for me it can land quite heavy. But your Knight of Pentacles here just gives you that ability to sort of get back on track and to kind of stay committed and loyal to what your bigger vision and actually really what it is that you want for yourself, you know? And even if you do come up against that kind of conflict with other people, it's not about avoiding it this month, because there's something about your state of presence. And again, I'm just really being drawn to that strength energy, again with the courage and the bravery of your energy guide of the King of Wands. Something about not avoiding, being present, that's actually going to help you to dissolve the conflict so that you transmute it right in the moment, so it doesn't perpetuate. It's not all that passive aggressive, like it's not dealt with, it's swept under the carpet. This is what I mean about you coming up against moments where you're going to be invited to kind of call it as it is, you know, and to say it and to be sort of straight shooting, which might not be the most comfortable thing for you. But at the same time, it's enabling this real sense of revitalization. And again, your Seven of Wands, it's just this courage coming up against some adversity perhaps, or just finding the will to keep going, you know. There's something about just keep going this month, Pisces. Now, across all signs in terms of the soul stories this month, there's been this energy of preparation. And what I've been saying is that, you know, Virgo is of course perfect energy for us to really address this, but by way of preparation, even when you think you've done enough, do a little bit more, because some of the shifts and changes that are coming in, when they land, they're going to land so fast, it's literally, you're going to be like night and day. It's like, what the heck just happened there? It just came in so quickly. So if you are getting any kind of intuitive nudge to do something, to act in a certain way, to kind of follow through with something, to kind of prepare for anything, and I you know, some of the things that might come through for you psychically, intuitively, might just be very, very random, but I want to say to you, please listen and please act, and act with haste, because there's a direct correlation to you being in the best possible position, if you have done that, to be able to take advantage, to say yes, or to be fully awake and present for some of the shifts that are going to come in. And this is a month, really. I mean, it's a series of very rare events that can transpire when we have these blue moons. You know, we talk about once in a blue moon and out of the blue, and you know, that full moon coming in on the 22nd is going to have a trajectory energetically, you know, of a couple of weeks till the new moon, but of course even over the, you know, the next few months as well. So we just want to be prepared and sort of take advantage of that. But your Seven of Wands for me is also giving you some gutsy, spirited energy this month. So I don't see you depleted. Even if you have experienced bouts of kind of real physical exhaustion, talked about that a lot through June and July, just the way the energy was kind of pummeling us in many regards. But there's definitely a rejuvenation feeling that comes in August. But again, that might require you to not become so attached, or to be very vigilant and discerning about where you might be picking up other people's energy, or allowing that to kind of take hold too much, you know. Okay, we have the energy of the Chariot. It's just powering forward. Again, there's something about this will to succeed, this will to keep going, to break through. This is going to be a tremendously powerful time for you, Pisces, if you are trying to initiate something, to reach a goal. You know, especially in Leo season, we love big goals with soul. You know, it's about the sun kind of wrapping itself around our plans and giving us that extra boost of confidence and self-belief. And even if you feel at times wildly out of control, because that kind of free-spirited, adventurous energy might not be your kind of default setting, it's quite exhilarating. I actually, you know, I sense into August giving you an exhilarating feeling, one that you can kind of harness and lift yourself up. So it's almost like you get a boost beyond what you'd expected, beyond what you'd anticipated, okay? But there's journeying happening here. There is a way forward. It doesn't necessarily feel that it's how the textbook would have written it, you know? So I think to some regard, Pisces are kind of making up their own rules this month. And you're kind of just presenting them as a fait accompli to people, but I think that's okay, you know. I think you get to be selfish in that regards this month, Pisces. And if it's coming from a place of this, I know this is right for me, this is the direction I'm going, this is what I'm doing, then I think that's going to serve you really well, and you'll start to see opportunities kind of fall into the path. Now in 7th house, of course, it's that me versus we, and all of your personal relationships are really going to be highlighted, not just romantic. And so people and connections definitely showing up to help move you forward, but there also might be some deep reevaluations about where you're, I suppose, just not feeling the vibe anymore. You want to kind of move on. You feel maybe that person has no much, you know, nothing more to teach me, or this friendship kind of feels like it's fizzled out, or, you know, I just kind of need to put a new spark, or even romantically, there's a desire to kind of open up to other opportunities or other experiences. But your Chariot and your 6 of Swords suggests that there's this beautiful journey and quality to August. I think you're going to be surprised how much progress that you make. There may even be some physical traveling that you're going to be taking. And even that in itself is going to be very, very restorative for you. You might be making plans specifically for trips. And again, when I talk about preparation, don't be surprised if things come in very out of the blue and unexpected, and you have very little time to be able to get things in place or get things in order before that transpires or that happens for you, okay? I see a lot of synergy with people, so I also think you're going to be coming into contact with, I want to say, like, minds that kind of really stretch you, but at the same time, like, you really feel the truth of it. You really kind of can get on board with what their view of the world is. And I think that it unlocks something within you. So you seem to be more confident than you ever have before to share something that you've been thinking or you're hoping for. And remember, when I talk about this idea of your passion potentially for some of you coming into the opportunity for paid work, I think that this is also a fantastic month to start to take those steps if that's something that you have been hoping, dreaming, musing over, shall we say. You're also going to have people coming in that can help to move you forward in that sense. I think for some of you, there's also that feeling of someone special. Someone special. Now, yes, that again, that might be romantic, but I also have a feeling that there is just a special connection that is either coming back into your life or is showing up in your life, and it feels fated, you know. It almost has an angelic quality to it, and I think that there's something very comforting about that showing up for you. So again, look out for news and information and signs coming through of that type of experience coming in for you through the course of this month. Okay, so this is the Ark Oracle, which is almost 100, I think it is 100 cards, which is a little awkward to shuffle, but let's see what it wants to bring through for us. Okay, you have the Cat, which links into the energy of the Page of Swords. Primal instincts landing on your feet. I think regardless of how you might feel a little bit tested or stretched, or even this sense of adventure that's kind of pulling you out of your comfort zone, there's something innately instinctive about the way that you deal with it. And you have this capacity to continuously like end up at the right place at the right time, even if it feels like it's taking you on a hell of a journey to get there. Again, the cat is fiercely independent and it's absolutely happy to be in and around environments with humans and other animals on its own terms. And you know, when it's happy to be there, it can be loving and sweet and bring all of that gorgeous, beautiful energy. And when it wants to take that time to be out there on its own, it's going to do that. And so, like I said, there is something about you not wanting the attachment of being told where to be, and you know how you need to operate or kind of acquiesce to anybody else's timelines this month. So this independent kind of instinctive this is where I need to be, this is where I'm going kind of an attitude works really well for you. In fact, you can see the cat is sitting in this garden that's absolutely in full bloom. So there's something about you coming into your own because you give yourself permission. Now, the Page of Swords, of course, is curious and open from a communicative perspective to share new ideas and insights. And again, anything that you're working on professionally or even community-led or in terms of like groups or anything like that, the energy of that Aquarius full moon, again, specifically is going to be wonderful for helping to get that word out and actually put you in direct contact with people that can help you or who feel inspired or resonate with what you're doing or what you have to say or have to share. I also have a sense though that again, this kind of critical aspect or even people kind of talking or judging or having something to say is also coming through a little bit with the energy of that Page of Swords. You are gonna have, I suppose, some moments where you might fall back into kind of old patterns of feeling overly sensitive and really wounded, but at the same time, like I also see you kind of having some really sharp, almost witty responses back, because there's something about humour that I feel you're also using. You know, when I talk about this, you're not avoiding it, you're very present, but you're dissolving any potential conflict and you're kind of transmuting any kind of energy that you're picking up in that way by sort of this humorous, almost like witty comments that come back. And I think it's showing you how far you'd evolved versus other people. So there's also something quite cathartic about it, because it'll also be very clear for you where you should be directing energy. And actually the recognizing, I suppose, that if you are actually taking on board where people may be sort of judging or criticizing you, and they're not the people you would ever go to get counsel or advice, and that sort of begs the question, why would you even listen to what they have to say anyway? Okay, so you have the Mystical Moment Oracle of Can You Hear Me? Okay, when we're in the first part of the month and Mercury's in Leo, this is a very confident, expressive, big, lofty, ideal kind of a energy to communicate with. But typically, Mercury and Leo vibe doesn't help us to listen very effectively. So we can miss out what people's feedback is. And so something about the feedback loop being really important here. So you might be quite far down the road in terms of expressing or participating or doing something, and then not really taking the time, or you haven't really checked back in to see, you know, is there any sort of response to this that's going to help me constructively? You see, it's different to be receiving critical, constructive criticism rather. But I also feel there's something about you needing to go where you feel seen and where you feel heard. You know, this is very conducive to you with the water energy, and she's sort of coming out of this conch shell here. But she also kind of looks a little melancholy almost. So it's almost like this reaching out. It's and maybe even for some of you, you know, if you're trying to connect spiritually and you're just like, oh God, where are my guides, or where are my loved ones, or like, I need a sign, I'm looking for a sign. Like, can you even hear what I'm asking for here? But listen, this is a month where you have more power, more personal power. And there's something about the energy of just keep going, just keep moving. Even if it's not showing up yet, you're going to start to see encouraging signs that validate what you've been working on. and what it is that you're trying to aspire to, okay? Enough so that you don't give up, or that clearly you get redirected and there's something else that comes in that's better for you. You might also find, of course, relationship-wise, that you're kind of trying to find that middle ground or that midpoint, and you just feel that you're not being fully understood. And if that is your experience, you know, Juno, the goddess asteroid, who rules over the 7th house and marriages and partnerships, is going direct in Sagittarius on the 2nd of the month. And here what we're seeking is actually more personal freedom within our partnerships. And so perhaps there's an invitation to say right now, instead of lamenting or trying to kind of force or cajole, maybe I just need to focus on myself right now and allow me to be able to move forward. And in that instance, then I'm going to get re-inspired, and you know, my energy is going to almost elevate and evolve so that that other person has to meet me at a higher vibrational frequency, rather than me kind of trying to drop down and constantly meet them where they are. Okay, let's have a look at the crystal oracles and see what wants to come through for you. Okay, you have the moonstone energy, transcendence, and it's connected into your crown chakra. So again, this very feminine stone works in with Cancer energy. We also have the Chariot linking in with Cancer as well. So there is that kind of watery emotional sensitivity, but you know, we also talk about firm boundaries with Cancer, don't we? We have that shell that gives us that sense of protection when we need it. But it's also helping you to link into your intuition. You've got the cat energy here as well. And, you know, opening up your crown chakra to be able to get direct wisdom from source, and knowing that that benevolence is available to you in anything that you are directing yourself towards, your worthiness never in doubt. But at the same time, being very discerning of where you are absorbing others' energy is also going to really help you. Moonstone is just a beautiful, balancing, very protective stone. It's really nurturing in that way as well. So the nurturing of the self is going to be very important for you through this month of August, Pisces. So this is just a general reading for the month ahead. If you'd like to join me for the extended, we're going to go ahead and continue this for another 20 minutes or so. You can think about a question I might not have answered in the main reading. We will go ahead and pull a couple of cards and cover that off. You can find the link in the description box and the comment section underneath for the extended. Just a way to support my channel. I'm really grateful for those of you that decide to join me if the reading resonates. So we're just opening up with that King of Wands, Nine of Pentacles, Queen of Cups, beautiful. You have not only the sensitivity, but the courage to kind of really figure out the right move for yourself and make something happen. Two of Cups, beautiful. There's a little bit of a highly charged, emotional, almost highly strung vibe that's also coming out a little bit. It may be someone else that's kind of projecting that onto you. Tower energy coming through there. Queen of Swords. There is somewhat of a kind of confusing, nervous tension playing out through the month of August. And it kind of pervades through the background, giving us these jolts that are going to keep almost like little electric shocks, you know, but at the same time, all of these surprising, revelationary events are kind of really progressing and moving us forward. So it's not anything that's kind of going to keep you stagnant or stuck. Quite the opposite. It can actually just be beautiful opportunities for growth, actually. Another Chariot coming in there. Okay, Pisces, and another world. Beautiful. And another Lovers. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for tuning in. I wish you beautiful blessings for August. And if you're joining me for the extended, I'll see you there. Bye-bye.